The voicemail was still playing when I started laughing. Not the kind of laugh you hear at a barbecue, the kind that comes from somewhere cold. My son's voice was casual, almost bored. "We're leaving tomorrow. Your beach house has already been sold. Bye." Then silence. No explanation, no guilt. Just a dial tone and the assumption I'd roll over. I sat there in my kitchen, coffee getting cold, staring at my phone like it might apologize on his behalf. It didn't. My son Derek, 34 years old, MBA from Cornell, works in commercial real estate now, which I suppose explains the confidence in his voice. He'd learned to talk to people like they were obstacles instead of human beings. I used to be proud of that sharpness. Thought I'd raised a killer in the business world. Turns out I just raised a killer. The beach house. My father built that place in 1987 with his own hands and a crew of 3 guys from the union. Took them 8 months.
I learned to swim in that ocean, got married on that deck, taught Derek to fish off that same dock when he was 7 years old and still called me Dad instead of a financial inconvenience, and he sold it, without asking, without even pretending to care. I called him back. He picked up on the 4th ring, annoyed. "What? You forgot something," I said. "What are you talking about?" I smiled at the wall. "You'll find out tomorrow." Derek hung up without responding. That was fine. I wasn't looking for conversation. I was buying time to think, and more importantly, to let him feel comfortable. Comfortable people make mistakes. Comfortable people don't check details. I poured the cold coffee down the sink and made a fresh pot. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I thought I'd feel something bigger. Rage, maybe. Or that hollow grief people talk about when family betrays them. But all I felt was clarity. Cold, mechanical clarity. I opened my laptop and pulled up the property records. The beach house sale had closed 2 days ago. Derek had forged my signature on the deed transfer. I knew because I never signed anything. He must have used one of those digital signature tools, copied my name from an old document, and hoped I wouldn't notice until it was too late. Smart kid. Almost smart enough. The buyer was an LLC I didn't recognize. Coastal Haven Properties. Probably one of Derek's shell companies. He'd flip it in 6 months for double and pocket the difference. My father's house would become someone's Airbnb. Tourists would take selfies on the deck where I scattered my wife's ashes 3 years ago. I sat back and drank my coffee. Derek thought he'd won because the paperwork said he won. But paperwork is just paperwork. It doesn't mean anything until someone enforces it. And enforcement requires knowing what you actually own. That's where he made his mistake. See, Derek sold the beach house. But the beach house wasn't mine to sell. The property had been in a trust since 2009. My father set it up before he died, paranoid about estate taxes and family vultures circling after the funeral. He made me the trustee, not the owner. There's a difference most people don't understand until it's too late. I could live there, manage it, make decisions about repairs and upkeep. But I couldn't sell it. Nobody could, not for 30 years. The house was locked in legal concrete until 2039, at which point it would transfer to my grandchildren, if I had any. Derek knew about the trust. I told him years ago over Thanksgiving dinner. He'd nodded, half listening, more interested in his phone than family history. I remember thinking he didn't care about legacy. Turns out he cared. He just thought he could work around it. He couldn't, which meant the sale he just closed was invalid. The deed transfer was worthless. Coastal Haven Properties now thought they owned a beachfront property worth $1.8 million. They'd already wired the money to Derek's account. But they didn't own anything. They owned a lawsuit waiting to happen. And Derek? He'd just committed fraud. I could have called him right then, explained the situation, given him a chance to fix it before the buyer's attorney noticed. A good father would have done that. A good father would have protected his son from his own stupidity. But I wasn't feeling particularly good. I opened my email and started drafting a message to the trust attorney. Professional, calm, just the facts. I attached the fraudulent deed transfer and asked him to notify Coastal Haven Properties immediately. Then I waited. Derek called me at 11 p.m. What the fuck did you do? His voice had changed. The boredom was gone. Now he sounded like a man who'd just opened a letter from someone's lawyer and realized he'd made a career-ending mistake. I didn't do anything, I said. You sold property you didn't own. That's all you, Derek. Silence. I could hear him breathing, fast, shallow breaths. Panic breathing. The trust, he said finally. You never said. I told you about the trust in 2015, Thanksgiving. You were sitting right across from me. You nodded and said, "That's smart, Dad." Then you went back to scrolling Instagram. More silence. We can fix this, he said. His voice had shifted again. Softer now. Almost pleading. I'll return the money. We'll void the sale. Nobody has to know. Coastal Haven Properties knows. Their attorney knows. And in about 6 hours, the county recorder's office is going to flag the fraudulent deed. After that, it's public record. Dad, don't call me that. The words came out colder than I expected. Derek went quiet. I heard something that might have been his wife in the background asking what was wrong. He didn't answer her. Why are you doing this? He asked. I thought about that question. Really thought about it. You called me yesterday, I said, and told me you sold my father's house like you were canceling a dentist appointment. You didn't ask. You didn't explain. You just informed me my past was gone and you'd be keeping the money. So I guess I'm just returning the favor. I'm your son. Yeah, I said. You are. I hung up. Derek showed up at my house the next morning at 6:30. I was already awake, coffee made, dressed. I'd been up since 4, going through old photo albums, pictures of Derek as a kid, birthday parties, Little League, the day he graduated high school. His mother was in most of them, smiling that smile she had before the cancer took it away. I wondered what she'd think of him now. The doorbell rang 3 times fast, desperate. I took my time walking to the door. He looked terrible, unshaven, red eyes, same clothes from yesterday. His wife wasn't with him, smart woman. We need to talk, he said. We really don't. Dad, please, just listen. I said, don't call me that. He flinched, actually flinched. I'd never seen him do that before. The buyer's threatening to sue, he said. Their attorney says it's fraud. They want their money back plus damages. I don't have it anymore. I already put down payments on 2 investment properties in Austin. The money's tied up. Sounds complicated. I could go to prison. You committed fraud, Derek. That's generally what happens. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe I'd been a stranger for years, and he was just now noticing. I can make this right, he said. Give me 2 weeks. I'll liquidate everything. Pay them back. We can say it was a clerical error, a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. You forged my signature and sold property that wasn't yours. That's called theft. From my own father. From a trust. From your grandfather's legacy. From your mother's memory. Take your pick. His jaw tightened. There it was. The anger underneath the panic. You're really going to let me go down for this? He asked. I'm not letting you do anything. You did this yourself. He stepped closer. Not threatening, exactly, but testing boundaries. Seeing if I'd back down like I had 100 times before when he was younger. When his mother would give me that look that meant let it go, and I would. I didn't move. I needed that money, he said quietly. You don't understand. Sarah and I have debt. Real debt. The kind that doesn't go away. I saw an opportunity and I took it. You saw your father's inheritance and you stole it. It was just sitting there. You never even used the place anymore. Not since Mom died. That one landed. He saw it on my face and pressed forward. You've been alone in this house for 3 years doing nothing. That beach house was rotting. I was going to build something with that money. Something real. Something that mattered. And now you've built a fraud case instead. His expression shifted. The pleading was gone. Now I was looking at someone I barely recognized. Cold. Calculating. The version of Derek that closed business deals and didn't think about the people on the other side. "You could fix this," he said. "One phone call to the trust attorney. Tell him you authorized the sale, that it was a miscommunication, they'd believe you." "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm your son." "You keep saying that like it means something." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly, like he'd just made a decision. "Fine," he said. "Then I guess we're done here." He turned and walked back to his car. I watched him drive away. The lawsuit hit Derek 4 days later. Coastal Haven Properties wasn't interested in settlements or explanations. Their attorney filed criminal charges for fraud and civil suits for damages. The local news picked it up because the sale involved waterfront property and people love a good real estate scandal. Derek's face was on the evening news by Thursday. Local realtor accused of fraud in beach house sale. They used his LinkedIn photo. He was smiling in it, confident, wearing that expensive suit he bought last year. His firm put him on administrative leave the same day. By Friday, they'd quietly removed his name from their website. I didn't watch the news. My neighbor Carol called and told me about it, her voice heavy with concern. "I saw that story about Derek. Are you okay? Do you need anything?" "I'm fine," I told her. "But thank you." She paused. "He's still your son?" "Yeah," I said. "He is." Sarah called me Saturday morning. Derek's wife. She was crying, which I expected. What I didn't expect was the anger underneath it. "You could stop this," she said. "You know you could. One statement from you and this all goes away." "It doesn't work like that." "Yes, it does. You're choosing to let him suffer. He chose to commit fraud. He made a mistake. People make mistakes. You're his father. You're supposed to protect him." I thought about that, about all the times I'd protected him, covered for him, made excuses, smoothed things over, all the little lessons I'd accidentally taught him about how consequences were negotiable if you knew the right person. "I protected him too much already," I said. "That's how we got here." She hung up without saying goodbye. Derek pleaded guilty 3 months later. His attorney negotiated it down to criminal fraud and restitution. No prison time, but 5 years probation, community service, and a felony record that meant his real estate career was finished. He'd have to pay back Coastal Haven Properties in installments for the next decade. I heard about it through Carol again. She'd seen it online. I didn't go to the sentencing, didn't call, didn't write. Some people thought that made me cruel. My brother stopped speaking to me, said I destroyed my own son over pride. Maybe he was right. Maybe I should have been the bigger man. Forgiven him, helped him fix his mistake. But I kept thinking about that voicemail, the casual tone, the assumption that I didn't matter enough to consult, that my father's house, my wife's memory, my entire past could be erased with a phone call and a forged signature. Not out of malice, out of indifference. That's what hurt most, not the theft, the indifference. I sold my house last month. Too many memories, too much quiet. I'm renting a small place near the coast now. Not the beach house. That's still locked in the trust, waiting for grandchildren I'll probably never have, but close enough that I can smell the ocean when I open the windows. Derek sent me a letter 2 weeks ago, first contact in months. It was short. He didn't apologize, didn't ask for anything, just said he understood now why I did what I did, said he'd have done the same thing. I don't know if that's true, but I folded the letter and put it in a drawer with the old photos. Some things you keep, even when they hurt.